Hello and welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, glad you're back. If you're new here, glad to see you. I think you'll like it here. On this channel, we talk about all different types of motorcycles, all brands. We talk about gear review. We talk about all different types of motorcycles, installation of parts. We do touring videos, anything and everything that has to do with bikes. So if you really like motorcycles like I do, I would say consider subscribing. On today's video, we're going to talk about the GS. On our last video, I put new tires on there and a few other gizmos, and that's what I'm going to do today. Also, I worked on the fuel tank because they had a leak. So these are things that not only apply to this motorcycle, but any motorcycle. So again, if you're into motorcycles, you can learn a lot on this channel. Anyway, let's get to it. So the way that I do it is, this is the bolt that I want to loosen. This is called a pinch bolt. The other side also has a pinch bolt and a rod that goes in. And what it calls for is some kind of, I'll say, a screwdriver, like a Phillips, or something straight that you can stick through the rod. Okay, the rod, stick something through the rod and then hold it so that it doesn't spin. But what I do is I take the pinch bolt of that side and I tighten it, and that's what's holding it in place. And then this one here is loose, so I can tighten this. Okay, and then I'll finish by tightening this one, right? And that'll lock everything in place. Now, but before I do it, a lot of guys will use a torque wrench. Don't follow my advice, but what I do is I lift the bike up, I spin the wheel, and when I feel it get a little snug, I back off. And then I tighten the pinch bolt. That's how I do it, front and back. Been doing it like that for years. I'm still alive, 43 years. Anyway, that's how I do this change of the wheel. Obviously, you have to take the calipers off first so that you can move the tire around all kind of ways, and then put the calipers back on. Okay. The other thing I do is I put these in by hand, not with the impact driver, because if it goes in crooked, it's you know, it's gonna strip. This is gonna make it strip because this is powerful and you can't really feel it like you could with your fingers. See, I can tell that that's well, if it's cross-threaded, then this won't tell you really. Once I have it there, then I'll use it to speed things up. That one's a little bit more snug. This is a 40 and that is a 45. So it is a 45. And then my impact wrench. I do own an impact wrench. Actually, I own 3 of them. But that's always worked for me. That's it. I'll do the other side. So I'm trying to take this clip off here so I can remove the gas tank. You know, I don't know what these connectors are called, but I like them because when you pull the hose is off, no gas comes out. Love it. Now I gotta figure out how to take that connector off, which has been there since 2003 probably, and needs a little bit of persuasion because she does not want it to come out. I could see that goes that way. We're gonna figure it out. That I can tell you. It's a real pain in the you son of a... I think it's coming. Oh man, I'm smart. Now, where do I put it? It's heavy. Heavy Chevy. I took the tank off, and I think I found a leak. Some of these hoses here were where the clamps were kind of loose. I'm hoping that's what it is. I have to check the tank now. But while I'm here, I have a Garmin GPS. It is the Zumo 660, I believe it is. It's a motorcycle GPS that most GS's and even Harley Davidsons. I had it on my Goldwing, and it's one of the good ones. Anyhow, I am running the wiring for that because it has a docking station, and I can take it off at the end of the ride and secure it. I don't leave it on the bike where somebody could come and take it. So that's one. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm running some wires for a charger for the phone, for the much needed phone these days. So excuse me, that's what I'm doing now. While I am here, I'm gonna do that, run the charger, which also serves the charger that I have. It's a USB charger, and it serves as a volt meter, so it tells me the actual battery volts, which is pretty cool. GPS, phone mount. I'm gonna be ready to take on the world once I get it all sorted out and put back together. What doesn't work, what I haven't, I was hoping there was a loose wire under the tank for the gas gauge. Again, I'm gonna have to do it old school and just rely on miles. Every time I fill up, I'm gonna have to reset the tripometer to 0. And I mean, do it the old-fashioned way. You look inside the tank, you get an idea, you know. So that's where I'm at. Keep rocking it out over here. Here's a little trick I learned a long time ago. I have a positive and a negative here. Color coded. Basically. Now realize it does shorten the cable some, but there you have it. Now it's 1 instead of 2. So I got the wiring done. I checked the fuel, which I think these hoses right here were loose. I don't think I had to remove the tank, but I'm glad I did, because I was able to wire a USB jack so that I can charge my phone on the fly. And also I installed the Garmin Zumo 660, I believe it is, docking station. I hardwired it into the bike. What else did I do? I was able to clean up a little bit in the battery area, route those wires nicely, actually clean the tank, because this doesn't let me clean the tank very well, and basically check everything out, do an inspection, so that when I go to the BDR, I know that the bike, there are no issues under there, which I really hadn't taken the tank off until today. So I have gone through this whole bike, brakes, tires, wheels, everything, and I know everything is good to go. So there's no oil leaks. It did have a slight oil leak at the window, and I changed it. I bought a new one with the seal, and I just popped that in there, and that stopped the seal. Also, the valve cover gaskets, I put new valve cover gaskets. It was leaking there, which I think is a common problem for these bikes, the airheads. So that is it. I'm gonna keep going, and I'll show you the final product with the tires. I'm really happy about the tires, and dying to take you for a ride. Tomorrow is Bikes and Breakfast, and I'm gonna take you for a nice ride. It's about 30 minutes, which equals an hour, and yeah, so I'm excited. Okay, so I really couldn't tell from within the tank where it was leaking. In other words, behind it where the fuel pump is, and there's like 4 hoses there. I couldn't tell where the leak was from, but upon further inspection, I put the tank back in place, started the bike. I didn't even have to start it. Once the fuel pump did its test, where it does a pressure test, if you will, I saw fuel coming out. So I did that a few times, and then I started the bike, because without starting the bike, the leak was right here, from what I can tell. And there is one hose clamp that I was thinking of changing, but upon further inspection, the hoses up where the fuel pump is also need to be. So I think I'm gonna order new fuel line hoses. I think it's the safest thing to do at this point. So that's where I'm at. Well, it is exactly 9 p.m. right now, even though that clock says 8:52. I have a 9 o'clock alarm on my phone, just rang, and I have not given up on getting this bike set. I just went out and bought some fuel line because I want to take this bike to Bikes and Breakfast. If I can't get it to not, if the leak is somewhere else, then obviously I got a couple other bikes I can take, but this is the one I'm set on taking. So let me show you inside the tank. For those of you who have a 1150 GS, and I imagine the 1200s are probably the same, of the same time. So it has these quick disconnects, which are really cool. And as you can see, somebody replaced this line, because I know that that's not a factory cut. You can see there the way they cut that hose. Now I have a neat tool for that. I'm gonna show you. Cuts a straight line. It's this thing here. This thing's very sharp, and it cuts through this stuff like butter. And it cuts it nice and straight. Better than I can do with a knife. So, very good tool. I'm gonna show you underneath the tank. And there, you can see, it was pretty gritty in there, pretty ugly. I cleaned it up some. But you can see, so I took the one fuel line off. This one goes here. I took that one off, and I still have that one there. I think you can see it, and that's also a quick disconnect. But you can see how heavy the dirt was in there. I think you can see. Let me put the light up top. Not sure. Yeah, I'm sure you can see that. It's very. Anyway. So what I'm hoping is, because I know it was leaking through the hoses and not through the gasket here, through the seal, is my only thing. So I will proceed to change out all the hoses, because I bought enough to change them all out. I happened to buy those professional clamps, but I'll show you. So I just bought these on Amazon about 2 weeks ago, not knowing that I would need them today. They're called single ear hose clamp kit, and it pretty much has everything covered in here. And the cool thing is, oh, it's got tape. The cool thing is that it came with the tool. So I guess I'm gonna make that work. And the cool thing is, as I said, it comes with the tool, which you take there. I think you can see that. And you squeeze, and that's gonna close that up pretty good. Imagine how much it's gonna close it. So I use this for my Vikla Harley Davidson, the Softail. So that bike, that's an interesting story real quick. I took that bike apart. It took me 2 whole months to do the transformation, and I was completely finished, and I went to put the quick disconnect together on the bike. That's all I had to do. I filled it up with gas. I had everything done, and what happened was the quick disconnect, the O-ring inside, for whatever reason, I guess it's because it was dry and old-ish, so the O-ring inside got mangled up, so I could not get the quick disconnect to engage. So I had to take the tank dash apart where the speedometer is and all that stuff, what sits in the center of the Harley Davidson gas tank. I had to take that off. I had to take all the bolts off, pull that out. That's the fuel pump, and the fuel gauge is in there. Take all that out because the hose is attached that way. And then I used one of these. But my point is, I was completely done. So that took me a whole extra day. I had to go to Harley Davidson dealer a couple of times. So yeah, and then I had to find clamps like this. That's why I had to go back the second time. I didn't have the right clamps. I had to go back. I had to buy a plier similar to that. And when I bought it from Harley, they just sold me 3 or 4 of those clamps, and that's it. This I bought on Amazon. I bought a kit. So let me get busy here. I think it does a nice job. This is before and after. Once you squeeze it nice, it really does a good job. Success. So as soon as I turn the ignition on, the fuel pump will kind of engage. So I was getting fuel coming down here and here, and now that is no longer the case. No fuel anywhere here, which is yes, awesome. All right, people, so let me give you a rundown on the bike now that everything is complete. So I will tell you that the knobby tires compared to street tires are very different in my opinion. They seem narrow to me. They seem, I'll give you an explanation. If I'm coming into a turn on the other tires, I would have to, you know, put a little muscle into it and make the bike lean. This, I just initiate the turn and it leans. There's a jet coming overhead, so give me 1 second. Back to the bike. So when I take a turn, if I had to explain it, so with the street tires, I have to kind of, you know, with these tires, I initiate the turn and she kind of falls in. She wants to go, which is, you know, when I first left my home with these tires, I can tell you that it kind of caught me off guard, and I was a little, you know, like apprehensive on the turns. It took me a while to relax and get used to these tires. Another thing that I can tell you is that my hands after a 30-minute ride, they kind of itched, and I only get that feeling from when something vibrates. Other than that, the tires seem grippy. I don't find them to be loud. I did not have an open face. I did have an open face helmet, but not a shorty helmet. So in other words, my ears were not exposed, but nevertheless, everything seemed pretty normal to me. The tires look good. They give the bike a more aggressive look, in my opinion. I like the way they make the bike look. Again, they perform well. I have not tried them on dirt, which is, they are 40, 60, 40 street, 60 dirt. So they are aggressive for the dirt. And let me show you the other things I did to the bike. Not sure if this made it into the video, but I will tell you that the fuel gauge, for whatever reason, started working on that first initial ride to Bikes and Breakfast. I stopped at the closest gas station, filled up, and I want to say 5 minutes down the road, I was tickled to just look down, and the idiot light was off, and I looked over at the fuel gauge and it was full, and I was like, wow, that's cool. So yeah, so that was a plus. That's a little gift. So I'll show you the tires real quick, what they look like. I like the look. And the docking station that I talked about, this is my Garmin docking station. I don't know what to call this thing. It's my GPS docking mount. This is the cover, so when I get to wherever I'm going, I can take it off, and I put this little rain cover on there. Now, lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, I can't find my GPS now. It's in the house somewhere. As always, I have my quad lock phone mount, which I can mount like that, and I can move these around a little bit by just moving these mounts. Those are ram ball mounts that I have on there. That bar that I have holding my windscreen is not a factory item for this. This is actually from a 1200, not the 1150. So this windscreen is from a GSA 1150, so it's the bigger one. I had to purchase these mounts here. The ones it came with were more narrow, so the windscreen actually just came there. It didn't come out as far. I put my USB port right there. Another jet coming overhead. So yeah, so this windscreen that I bought is for 1150 GSA. It's not for the basic GS, and I had to order these pieces right here, which cost me a pretty penny. I do like the bigger size of this windscreen. I purchased this here, my yellowish headlight when I purchased this bike that was cracked. I've purchased this piece, is also from a 1200. I put these lights on. Those things really light up. If you're wondering what this is for, I put my camera poles on here. That is actually a boat mount that I use. So this is a boat flag mount, and it's, you know, I can put it in different spots wherever there's tubular frame or whatever. So those are the changes that I made. The fuel lines that I fixed worked magnificently, no problems there. Everything is the way it should be, working the way it should be. I have my little tank bag here, which kind of floats when I'm at speeds. It kind of glides in the air like this. And that is pretty much it. If you have any questions about this bike and the changes that I have made, I bought this heat crash bar system for it. I purchased a little crash bar mount, bag rather. Sorry, I got distracted with my daughter leaving. I bought this little bag here. I bought the crash bars that cover not only the engine but part of the tank. I bought these Nelson Rig saddlebags. I really like the way those work. The frame that holds it in place is a GV frame that I found for this bike. For those of you that don't know, I put those GS letters on there, both here and here. I took the old ones off. Yep. And I think the wheels look great now. They look clean. I'm not gonna say they pop or anything, but they're not dirty, ugly the way they were. And that is it. So anyway, that is the bike. Those are the changes I made. I hope you learned something from my videos. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. I will say, please tell me of all the changes that I made to this bike, which are your favorite? Which is a change that you would make to your bike? You know, adventure bikes today are very popular. As a matter of fact, it is the most purchased motorcycle segment of all motorcycles sales in the world, not only in the US. These bikes, if you don't have one, I tell you, it's something you have to experience. These are fun bikes to ride. As you all know, I own many bikes of different brands, and this bike is so much fun to ride. I can't explain it. It's like a bicycle, if you will. You know, it's not the fastest bike I have. It's not the most expensive bike I have. It's not the most beautiful bike, but it does everything, and it does it well. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. You guys take care. Watch out with the crazy people on the roads, and I will catch you on the next one. Adios.